Well, we're pleased you would join with us this morning. This is the Lord's Day morning, July the 5th, and the sun's just popping up through the trees there. We're actually right on Main Street, Easley this morning, and we are looking at the Norfolk Southern railroad tracks this morning, and right behind us. And this train comes up and down this track about every 37 minutes. And I'm telling you what, when it comes, you can't hear it thunder, you can't hear a gunshot go off, you can't hear nothing when that thing comes up and down this street. But you know, it's always a vital part of the world. I mean, this train goes all across America. It comes through here. I've seen it pulling 187 cars behind it one day. 187 cars. Now, that is a train. Hope it comes by while we're here so we can show it to you. I know you've seen a train before, but this is a real unique train when it comes by. Well, let me talk to you for a while out of the book of Romans and chapter number 15, where we left off the other week. We were talking about chapter 15 about the eyes of Paul. There are 20 times here that Paul uses the personal pronoun I. And it's very interesting how he just, right here, he just really puts all this into these compacted verses right here using the word I. And it's amazing how he uses different adverbs and verbs to go with this, discussing himself and his ministry. Let's look on down into verse number 21. But as it is written, to whom he was not spoken of, they shall see, and they that have not heard shall understand. And this is referring, of course, to the Gentiles. And Paul spends a lot of the time in this book of Romans talking about his ministry to the Gentiles and how that God has turned to the Gentiles, yet not totally laying aside the people of Israel. Let's look on verse 22, which Paul also I have been much hindered from coming to you. His ministry among the Gentiles has hindered him, he says, from being able to come unto the people at Rome. As you know, Paul was in the city of Corinth at the time of this writing. It was during his third visit to the city of Corinth that he wrote this epistle to the Romans. No doubt he wanted to let them know he was coming. He wanted to send them these doctrinal truths, these doctrinal teachings that he had already been talking about in the early part of the chapter, the book. And he was no doubt telling them many times he's planning to come and visit them. And here he's telling them, I have been much hindered to come unto you. And no doubt his work hindered him from coming. The needs of the churches in Asia Minor hindered him from coming. He had many things that hindered him from coming. The opposition, no doubt, of Satan hindered him from coming. But let's read on here, verse 22. But now, having no more place in these parts, and having a great desire these many years to come unto you. So many years have gone by, and Paul's having that desire to travel back to Rome and to visit the church at Rome. Could have been other churches there too, but we do know definitely there was one there at this time. And he was saying, I have a great desire. I want to come back to Rome. I want to come back and visit with you at Rome and share with you. Verse 24, he uses another one of his eyes. Whensoever I take my journey to Spain. Well, you know, Spain is not Rome, but it's next door, you might say. And so Paul said, when I take my journey to Spain. Well, Paul's a busy man. Not only is he wanting to go into Rome to be and to visit the church there, but as well, he's got plans to stop by Spain on the way, and he wants to give out the gospel there. Paul was an amazingly busy man. He said, when I take my journey to Spain. Well, he just had all kinds of places to go and all kinds of people he wanted to talk to and to give out the gospel to. And many of the brethren did he wish to meet and to encourage along the way. Paul was a busy man, and I appreciate busy people. I know we talk about being too busy, but I think it's better to be too busy than it is to be lazy. And I appreciate people who are busy, people who go about their work, go about their job, go about their business, and I appreciate that. I mean, I really do. You know, if we all were to be busy, we wouldn't have time to get into a lot of stuff. My grandmother used to tell me the idle mind is the devil's workshop, and that's the very truth to that. if some of these people in our country didn't have so much idle time on their hand, they wouldn't be burning the place down. They wouldn't be out doing this and doing that, and doing all the protesting, the rioting, the killing, and all this stuff. And if we cut off their welfare, it would help them to go to work. But I know our politicians don't have that much brains, and they're after votes, now not after that which is good. But nonetheless, I won't labor that point any longer. But Paul was a busy man. He was busy in the Lord's work. And then he says, I will come to you. He says, I will come. He's determined. He's coming. And I like that about Paul. He says, I will come to you. And then notice another one. And I like what he says, I will come to you. It's always a blessing when somebody says, I'm coming to see you. And you know it's going to be a good time. And you appreciate them doing that. And I'm sure the people at Rome appreciated what Paul was doing when he says, I will come to you. What a great blessing that would be. I know at our church many times we have our pastor will bring in special guest speakers, you know, and when they come to us, many of them are a great blessing to us, and many of them really do help us, encourage us in the Lord. And so I appreciate that when they come to me, and I appreciate them coming. In the same verse, he says, for I trust to see you in my journey. Paul's saying, no matter what, I'm trusting that I will be able to see you. He said, I have a great desire, I'm planning to come, and I trust when I do come that I will see you. Well, let's look at another verse right here before the train comes by, because I hear that train a-coming. And I'm not Johnny Cash either, by the way, but I can hear the train coming. And he says, and to be brought on my way thitherward by you, if first I be somewhat filled with your company. He says, I already want to be there. I want to see you. I want to see your company. Well, my friends, I want you to listen up right now and to look. We got the Norfolk Southern train coming by here, and it's an awesome sight to see. And if Paul had a train like this in his day, you can imagine where all he would have went to. Now listen to that thing. It is almost deafening when it comes by. Like I said, you can't hear a gunshot go off when this thing comes by. So just take a look at this as it comes. And this comes through here, I think it's every 37 minutes it comes through here. So hang on and watch it come. Okay, and I told you that was going to be good, didn't it? That was a very short one today. It only had like 83 cars. 3 locomotives pulling that thing and 83 cars. So that's a very small one today. Man, could you hear them air brakes that thing went by? I hope you could. It's an awesome thing. I mean, I'd love to have my own train, wouldn't you? Let's get back here into the into the verse right here. He says, in verse 25, we'll pick up in verse 25. He says, but now I go into Jerusalem to minister to the saints. So he's got other trips planned going to Jerusalem. Paul was a busy man, just going all kinds of places. And he went there to carry the gospel. But here, he said, I'm going to minister to the saints. Now he's going to describe what he means by ministering to the saints in the next verse. For it hath pleased them of Macedonia and Achaia to make a certain contribution for the poor saints which are at Jerusalem. It hath pleased them verily, and their debtors they are. For if the Gentiles have been made partakers of their spiritual things, their duty is also to minister unto them in carnal things. Well, this is great. this is great. Due to the fact that the people in Jerusalem and Paul had gone out with the gospel, and that the people in Macedonia, Achaia, had heard the gospel, Paul's saying, well, they're debtors to you. They're debtors. And they realize now that you're in poverty in Jerusalem, you're having a hard time. And they're sending some money. They have made up a collection, a certain contribution, I would assume that to be money, for the poor saints which are at Jerusalem. And in Paul's day, these people had had a rough time, especially those who were believers. They had had a rough time of it because they'd been greatly persecuted. And so the people over in Macedonia, Achaia, were sending a contribution to them. And that is a great blessing. You know, Christian people are the givingest people upon the face of the earth. It is amazing to me what some people give. And I practice giving too, but I hear of other people who have much more to give and who give. People who have great sums of money who give, and then people who have small sums of money who give proportionally even higher. And it amazes me the desire that Christian people have to give. You may want to criticize Christian people, but one thing you can't criticize about Christian people is that we are a giving people and contribute to all kinds of needs, all kinds of things. And it's a great blessing to give. Jesus said it's more blessed to give than it is to receive. I know there's some churches, very few, they don't believe in giving out too much. But I tell you, they're missing a great blessing. They are. They're missing a great blessing because it's more blessed to give than it is to receive. And I'll tell you something else about giving. You don't outgive God. He very well takes note of what you give, even if it's a cup of cold water in His name. Now, I have at times given, most of the time I give money, but at times I give labor. I have worked on people's houses to help them out, sometimes charged them very little, sometimes charged them nothing. And there have been a few times where they helped me out to give to them. In other words, they didn't pay. But that happens. But anyhow, let's look on now in verse 28. When therefore I have performed this, and Paul said, when I have performed this, like I'm going to go to these places and I intend to do this, and I have sealed to them this fruit, referring no doubt to his trip to Jerusalem and taking the money and sealing the fruit and delivering the fruit to the people at Jerusalem. And he says, then I will come by you into Spain. He says, I am coming, I will come. Verse 29, and I am sure. Paul, he could just be sure of things. He could be persuaded, fully persuaded, and rest and assured that he was going to do this. When I come unto you, I shall come in the fullness of the blessing of the gospel of Christ. He says, when I come, I'm coming there fully right with God. I'm coming there walking with God. I'm coming there with my heart right with God. And I'm coming there to share with you the blessings of the gospel of Jesus Christ, and to encourage them in the faith and to direct them in their ways. And he says, I am sure that's the way that I'm coming. Verse 30, now I beseech you, brethren, for the Lord Jesus Christ's sake, and for the love of the Spirit, that you strive together with me in your prayers to God for me. Paul said, I beseech you, I'm pleading with you, that you'll pray for me, and that you will pray for me all that I'm trying to do. Well, you know what? I'm about to run out of time here, so I have to stop this this segment of our message today by the railroad tracks. And so, if you've never received Jesus Christ, if you never have, why not do that today and ask Jesus to come in your heart and to be your Lord and your Savior?